Welcome back to DCM Reddit. In today's world, where technology is rapidly evolving and connecting everything, we never really know who our true allies are and who might be the ones plotting against us. Today, story will take you on a thrilling journey filled with betrayal, hidden schemes, and intense drama. Imagine spending your whole life building a career, only to discover that the very people closest to you are secretly plotting to bring you down. Alex Bennett, a brilliant cybersecurity expert, uncovers a shocking truth: his wife and mother-in-law are involved in a criminal plan he could never have imagined. But instead of giving up, Alex decides to fight back, using his own skills to expose the truth. This story will make you rethink the people around you and what you would do if faced with enemies hiding behind familiar faces. Can Alex defeat a powerful force protected by deep, dark secrets? Let's find out together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Now, let's begin the story. Alex Thompson was a rising star in the world of cybersecurity. At just 35, he had built a reputation for being one of the most brilliant and methodical minds in the industry. His career was going perfectly, until his personal life started to crumble. Living in a sleek penthouse in the heart of San Francisco with his wife, Rachel, and her mother, Helen, Alex's life seemed to be ideal. Rachel, a well-established art dealer, was stunningly beautiful, and Helen, a well-respected but domineering figure in the art world, never missed an opportunity to belittle Alex. Despite his success, Alex was never truly accepted by his mother-in-law, who constantly reminded him that his career was nothing compared to the grandeur of the art world. But it wasn't just Helen's disdain that weighed heavily on Alex. His marriage with Rachel was strained. She seemed distant, uninterested in his accomplishments, and her affection had long since faded. Lately, Alex felt like a stranger in his own home. One evening, while working late, Alex overheard a conversation that would change everything. Alex was in his office, reviewing some new security protocols for a high-profile client. The faint sound of Rachel's voice drifted from the living room. He wasn't usually one to eavesdrop, but something in the tone of the conversation caught his attention. Rachel and Helen were speaking quietly, but Alex could still make out the words. "He'll never know. The baby, it's not Alex's," Rachel said, her voice laced with secrecy. "We can go through with the divorce, claim everything is his, and take it all. He'll never see it coming." Alex's heart dropped. He leaned against the doorframe, stunned into silence as he processed the betrayal. Rachel, the woman he had loved, was plotting not only to betray him but to take everything he had worked so hard to build. His mind raced as he pieced together the implications of their words. The child Rachel was carrying was not his, and the entire pregnancy was part of an elaborate plan to destroy him. The plan was clear: they would frame Alex, take his wealth, and leave him with nothing. It was the ultimate betrayal. The shock of hearing his wife's words lingered in Alex's mind, but instead of reacting impulsively, he made a cold, calculated decision. He would not let them ruin him. As a cybersecurity expert, he knew how to manipulate information, and now, he would use those skills against them. Alex set to work immediately. He tapped into his advanced knowledge of surveillance systems and discreetly installed cameras around their home. He needed concrete evidence of their scheme, evidence that would not only protect him but expose Rachel and Helen for the criminals they were. The first step was securing his financial assets. Alex moved large sums of money into anonymous offshore accounts and set up trust funds for his future. He was methodical, always one step ahead, ensuring that Rachel and Helen would never be able to touch his wealth. Over the next few weeks, Alex gathered every piece of evidence he could find: email chains, text messages, and even recordings of their conversations. The web of deceit was growing more tangled, but Alex had the upper hand now. One evening, Alex called Rachel into the living room, where he had set up a private meeting with his lawyer, Jason Miller, and his tech expert, Mia Roberts. As Rachel walked in, Alex couldn't help but notice the air of arrogance that still lingered around her. She had no idea what was coming. "Rachel," Alex began, his voice calm but firm, "I know everything." Rachel froze, her face paling as she looked from Alex to the two strangers in the room. "What are you talking about?" she asked, trying to mask the panic in her voice. Alex didn't waste any time. He presented the evidence, screenshots of conversations, video footage of Rachel and Helen plotting behind his back, and financial transactions that proved their intentions. The truth was undeniable. "You thought you could take everything from me," Alex continued, "but you underestimated me. You underestimated how far I'd go to protect what's mine." With the help of Jason and Mia, Alex had already handed over the evidence to the authorities. Rachel and Helen were facing serious charges: conspiracy, fraud, and even identity theft. The police had enough to charge them, and the law would not be kind. The consequences were swift. Rachel and Helen were arrested, and the charges against them were grave. Rachel, once the love of Alex's life, was now facing 12 years in prison for her role in the scam. Helen, who had always thought she could control everything, was looking at an even longer sentence, 15 years. Meanwhile, the authorities were also investigating Richard, the man Rachel had been secretly seeing. He was facing charges of fraud, conspiracy, and embezzlement. His role in the scheme was crucial, but now, he too would face the full weight of the law. As the dust settled, Alex found himself standing at the precipice of a new chapter in his life. The ordeal had cost him more than he cared to admit, but it had also opened his eyes to the strength he never knew he had. He had fought back, and not only had he secured his financial future, but he had also helped dismantle an entire criminal operation that had been targeting others just like him. His company, which had been struggling with the aftermath of the scandal, soon saw an upswing in business. Alex was promoted to chief security officer, and his reputation in the tech industry soared. He had earned the respect of his peers, and more importantly, he had earned back control of his life. Though the legal battles were over, Alex knew that this was just the beginning. He had rebuilt his life from the ground up, and while the scars would always remain, he was no longer the man who had been blindsided by betrayal. Despite his success and the justice he had brought down on Rachel, Helen, and Richard, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was still lurking in the shadows. The weight of the betrayal had left deep scars, and while he had rebuilt his career and reputation, his personal life was far from mended. Alex began to notice subtle signs that his enemies weren't entirely gone. He had been receiving anonymous emails, cryptic, unsettling messages that seemed to know too much about him. At first, he dismissed them as a random nuisance. But as the weeks passed, the messages became more frequent, more direct, and increasingly threatening. "We know you think you've won. But the game isn't over. You have no idea who you're really up against." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The email was signed simply with the initials LF. Who was this person, and how did they know so much? The realization dawned on him: it wasn't just Rachel, Helen, and Richard who had been operating behind the scenes. There were others, shadowy figures in the world of high-tech crime, who had been pulling the strings all along. Unable to ignore the growing sense of danger, Alex turned to his trusted allies. Jason, his lawyer, and Mia, his tech expert, had helped him navigate the legal battles, and now, they were his closest friends in this tangled world of deception. "Alex," Mia said, looking up from her laptop, "there's something going on. The message you received, those initials, LF, are linked to an underground hacking collective I've heard about. They operate in the shadows, pulling off heists, stealing secrets, and laundering money. They're not just after money, they're after power." Alex's stomach sank. If this organization was involved, things were about to get much worse. Jason leaned forward, his voice low. "We need to be prepared, Alex. These people don't play by the rules. They could come for your career, your reputation, or worse, your life." Alex nodded, his mind racing. He had already learned the hard way how vulnerable he could be, even when he thought he was in control. This new threat wasn't something he could ignore. Over the following weeks, Alex worked relentlessly to uncover the true identity of LF and the extent of the network that seemed to be targeting him. Mia helped him break into encrypted files, combing through layers of digital traces left behind by the collective. Each discovery led them closer to the truth, but the deeper they dug, the more dangerous the situation became. One day, while accessing a secured database linked to LF, Mia came across a file labeled Project Alpha. When she opened it, her face paled. "Alex," Mia whispered. "This is bad. Project Alpha is an operation that's been going on for years. They've been infiltrating major tech companies, government agencies, and even private organizations like yours. They have inside information on everyone, every major player in the tech world." Alex's heart pounded. The thought of someone pulling the strings behind the scenes, manipulating entire industries, was enough to make anyone feel small. This wasn't just about a personal vendetta anymore. LF had far-reaching power. "What do we do now?" Alex asked, his voice steady, but with a hint of urgency. Mia looked grim. "We need to expose them before they take action. But they'll be watching us. We have to be careful, Alex." Alex thought for a moment, weighing the risks. He had already lost so much. But if he didn't stop this organization now, he could lose everything again. With his network of contacts, Alex began to strategize his counterattack. He couldn't take on LF alone. This wasn't just about digital surveillance and hacking anymore, it was about real-world consequences, and he would need to prepare for anything. Jason brought in a former Special Forces operative, Jack Collins, who had experience in dealing with high-risk operations. Jack was rugged, no-nonsense, and had an eye for detail that Alex appreciated. "We'll need to cover all our tracks," Jack said, after reviewing the intel. "These people won't hesitate to take drastic measures if they feel threatened. We need to make sure they can't trace us back." Alex nodded. "We can't afford to make a mistake. Let's hit them hard and fast." After weeks of planning and digging deeper into the heart of the criminal network, Alex and his team set a trap for LF. They used a combination of Alex's cybersecurity expertise and Jack's field operations to infiltrate a key server farm where the collective operated. The mission was dangerous, with every step fraught with uncertainty. But Alex was determined. He had already lost so much, he wasn't going to let this faceless organization destroy what remained of his life. As they moved through the server farm, Alex's heart raced. Mia was handling the tech side, ensuring they wouldn't trip any alarms. Jason was covering their legal backdoor, ensuring everything they did was within the law. And Jack, ever the protector, was on high alert. Then, as Alex and Jack reached the central control room, they found something unexpected. LF wasn't just a hacking group. It was a coalition of powerful individuals, some of the most influential people in the tech world. Their operation spanned continents, with the goal of controlling the future of technology and information. But before Alex could act, the room filled with armed figures. The trap had been set, but so had theirs. As the armed figures closed in, a voice echoed from the shadows. "You've played a good game, Alex, but it's over." Alex froze. The voice sounded familiar. He turned, his blood running cold as a figure stepped forward, Richard, the same man who had once been involved with Rachel. But Richard wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a man Alex never expected to see again, Victor Lacey, the man who had once been his mentor and had taught him everything he knew about cybersecurity. "Victor?" Alex whispered, disbelief flooding his system. "You're behind this?" Victor's smile was cold. "You always were too idealistic, Alex. You think you can just stop the tide? No one can stop this now. We're taking over." Alex's heart pounded as he stared at Victor Lacey, his former mentor. The man who had once taught him everything he knew about cybersecurity, who had helped him launch his career, was now standing before him, revealing that he was the mastermind behind LF and the underground network of cybercrime. Victor's calm demeanor was unnerving. "You always thought you could control the system, Alex. You were naive to think you could stop the inevitable. Technology is the future, and I am the one who will shape it." Alex felt his world collapse as the weight of the betrayal hit him. This wasn't just a random hacker or a faceless criminal. Victor had been plotting against him all along. He had mentored Alex only to manipulate him into doing the hard work, while he remained in the shadows, pulling the strings. "How long, Victor?" Alex asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and anger. "How long have you been planning this?" Victor shrugged, an expression of indifference on his face. "Since the day I hired you. You were the perfect pawn. Smart, ambitious, but predictable. You never saw the bigger picture." Alex's mind raced as he processed the enormity of the situation. Everything he had worked for, the fight against Rachel, Helen, and Richard, was merely a prelude to this far more dangerous game. The real battle was just beginning. But he couldn't afford to lose his focus. His team was still counting on him. Mia, Jason, and Jack were all involved in this dangerous game, and he couldn't let them fall into the hands of Victor and his associates. Victor signaled to the armed figures who had surrounded Alex and Jack. The tension in the room was palpable. Alex knew he needed to think quickly if he was going to escape this trap and protect his allies. "It's over, Alex," Victor said, stepping closer. "You've made your move, and now you'll pay the price for it." But Alex was not one to back down, especially when everything he had fought for was at stake. With lightning speed, he activated a hidden device in his pocket. The screens in the room flickered for a moment, and the security cameras went black. Mia had successfully breached the system and was now running a counter-operation from the outside. Alex knew this was his chance. He turned to Jack, signaling him to act. "Now!" Alex shouted. In a flash, Jack lunged toward the nearest armed guard, knocking him unconscious. Alex grabbed the gun from another guard and quickly disarmed him, pulling his allies to safety. The room erupted into chaos as Alex and his team fought back, using their skills to outsmart and outmaneuver Victor's men. But just as they were about to make their escape, Victor's voice boomed over the chaos. "You can't run forever, Alex. This is bigger than you. You're already too deep. You'll never make it out." Alex didn't respond. He focused on getting out of the room, keeping his eyes on the exit. They had to make it out of the building alive, and then they could regroup and come up with a new plan. The team made it to the elevator, but just as the doors closed, a sharp voice echoed through the hallway. "Freeze!" Alex's heart sank as he turned to see several more armed guards rushing toward them, blocking their way. There was no time to fight them all. "Mia, do you have a backup plan?" Alex asked, his voice steady despite the panic building inside him. Mia quickly tapped on her phone, and the elevator doors opened just as the guards reached them. With a swift move, she triggered an EMP pulse, knocking out the building's power. The elevator plummeted into darkness. The team stumbled out into the underground parking garage, where they had parked their getaway vehicle. They made a break for it, but not before Alex noticed something troubling. Victor's men were already hot on their heels. As they drove away, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being tracked. He glanced at his phone. There was a new message, an encrypted file from an unknown source. He opened it, and his face went pale as he read the contents. "You've made a powerful enemy, Alex. Victor is just the beginning. LF has resources everywhere. Watch your back. They're already inside your network. And we know who you are." Despite the chaos, Alex knew they couldn't afford to lay low for too long. He had to fight back, not just for his own survival, but for the safety of his team and everyone else who had been hurt by LF's criminal activities. They regrouped in a secure location, a safe house where they could plan their next move. Jason was working on cleaning up their tracks, while Mia was tracing the source of the encrypted message. Jack kept a close eye on the perimeter, ensuring they weren't being followed. "We need to go on the offensive," Alex said, his voice resolute. "We've been on the defensive long enough. It's time to expose LF and Victor for good." Mia nodded. "I'm close to finding their hidden server farm. If we can take that down, we might cripple their operations for good." Jason added, "But we need to move fast. LF has eyes everywhere. They'll be on to us the moment we make our next move." Alex stood up, determination in his eyes. "I'm not running anymore. It's time to finish this." As Alex and his team prepared for their final assault on LF, a new ally reached out, someone from Alex's past who had information that could turn the tide. It was someone Alex had never expected to hear from again, Rachel. The same Rachel who had once betrayed him, who had tried to destroy his life. But now, she had reached out with a message of her own. "I've made a mistake, Alex," her voice crackled through the phone. "Victor is a monster. He's manipulated me and so many others. You were right about him. If you want to take him down, you'll need my help." Alex's mind was a whirlwind. Could he trust her? Could he really work with the woman who had once tried to ruin him? But in this world of deceit, allies were rare, and Alex knew that this might be his only chance to stop Victor once and for all. Alex sat at the small table in their safe house, staring at the encrypted message from Rachel. His mind raced. Could he truly trust her? After everything that had happened, after all the manipulation and betrayal, was it wise to take the risk? Mia, Jason, and Jack were silent, waiting for his decision. Alex looked up from the message and met their gazes. They had been through so much together, and now, the fate of their fight against LF rested in their hands. "I'm not sure we have a choice," Alex said finally. "If Rachel knows something that can bring down Victor and his entire network, we need to take that chance. But we play it carefully. We meet her on our terms." Mia nodded. "I'll work on tracking the signal and making sure she's not leading us into another trap." Jason added, "But we need to be prepared for anything. If Rachel is still loyal to Victor, this could be a double-cross waiting to happen." "Agreed," Alex replied. "But if we don't try, we might lose our chance to stop them forever." Alex, Mia, Jason, and Jack arranged to meet Rachel at a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of the city. It was a risky move, but it was the only option they had. As they approached the location, Alex's instincts told him to be cautious, his team was on high alert, and every sound seemed to echo ominously. They entered the warehouse cautiously, with Jack leading the way. Mia kept her phone in hand, scanning for any electronic signals that could betray a trap. But when they reached the center of the warehouse, they found Rachel waiting for them, alone. Her appearance had changed since the last time Alex saw her. She was thinner, her face drawn and tired. But her eyes were still sharp, still calculating. Despite everything, she seemed genuine. "I never thought I'd see you again," Alex said, his voice steady but filled with a mix of emotions. "What do you want, Rachel?" Rachel met his gaze without flinching. "I want to make things right," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I've been used, Alex. Victor doesn't care about me or anyone else. He only cares about power. I know how to bring him down. But I need your help." Alex exchanged a glance with his team, silently weighing the risk. He couldn't afford to trust her fully, but the opportunity was too valuable to pass up. "What do you need?" he asked cautiously. Rachel handed him a flash drive. "This contains everything you need. Documents, communications, transactions, proof of LF's entire network. If you expose this, Victor is finished. But you need to act fast. He's been tracking me, and I don't have much time." Mia immediately plugged the drive into her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she began decrypting the files. Jason kept his eyes on Rachel, still wary, but the information they were uncovering was undeniable. This was the key to taking down LF. Suddenly, Mia's face paled. Alex, these files, they're not just about LF. They go deeper. Much deeper. Victor isn't just a hacker. He's connected to global networks, government officials, CEOs, black market operations. If we expose this, it could cause an international crisis. Rachel's voice trembled as she added, I never wanted it to get this far. But it's too late to turn back. If you don't stop him now, there will be no one left to stop the collapse. As Mia continued to sift through the information, Alex felt the gravity of the decision weighing on him. Exposing LF and Victor would not only bring down their operation but would also set off a chain of events that could topple entire governments and economies. Jason's voice cut through the tension. Alex, if we release this, there's no going back. The world will change overnight. People will suffer, and no one will be ready for the fallout. I know, Alex replied, his voice quiet. But we have to make a choice. Do we live in a world where these people control everything, or do we take a stand? Rachel stepped closer, her eyes pleading. You don't have to do this alone. Let me help. I can make sure the information gets into the right hands, into the hands of those who can stop Victor for good. Alex looked at his team. They were all in this together. They had fought too hard to back down now. The stakes were higher than ever, and the consequences of doing nothing were too dire. This ends now, Alex said, his voice unwavering. Mia, release the files. We'll take the consequences as they come. Mia nodded, hitting a key to send the data to multiple encrypted servers around the world. Within seconds, the information was out of their hands, spread across the digital world like wildfire. But just as they thought they had won, the sound of a gunshot rang out. Jack lunged forward, pushing Alex out of the way as the bullet grazed his arm. You think you've won? Victor's voice echoed from the shadows. You've only started a war, Alex. A war you can't win. A fierce battle erupted as Victor's men stormed into the warehouse, guns blazing. But Alex and his team were ready. They fought with everything they had, using every trick they'd learned along the way. The warehouse became a battlefield, chaos swirling as Alex and his allies took down Victor's forces one by one. In the midst of the battle, Alex and Victor came face to face. The two men stood, staring each other down, the weight of their rivalry heavier than ever. You think you can stop me, Alex? Victor sneered. I'm unstoppable. You've made a mistake. No, Victor, Alex replied, his voice cold. The mistake was yours. You underestimated me. You underestimated all of us. With a swift move, Alex took Victor down, disabling him long enough for the authorities to arrive and arrest him. As Victor was hauled away in handcuffs, Alex allowed himself a moment of relief. In the months that followed, the world was rocked by the exposure of LF and its far-reaching criminal empire. Governments scrambled to contain the fallout, and industries were forever changed. But Alex, Mia, Jason, and Jack had done what they set out to do. They stopped Victor and his organization from taking control. Rachel, though still haunted by her past, played a crucial role in helping Alex dismantle the global network. With her help, Alex was able to rebuild his career and move on from the shadows of the past. Though the battle had been long and brutal, Alex had emerged victorious. But as he sat alone in his office, reflecting on everything that had happened, he knew one thing for certain: his fight for justice was far from over. In a world full of corruption and deceit, there would always be new challenges to face, new battles to fight. And Alex Bennett was ready. Wow, what an intense and thrilling story, right? Alex Bennett faced unimaginable challenges, and in the end, he was able to uncover the truth. But his journey is far from over, and the danger still lurks. Will he continue to fight against the hidden conspiracies? Let's stay tuned for what comes next in the upcoming videos. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the betrayal and the tough choices Alex had to make? We'd love to hear your opinions, so feel free to share. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming episodes in Alex's journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. See you next time, and stay tuned for more.